Hi guys, it's Evelyn from Twin Flames 3344. I have your messages for you again today, and oracle cards as well. So, the beauty and the wisdom within. Today is Lionsgate. It's 8/8/2018. And I'll get all into that in a minute. Just have a couple quick messages from yesterday's energy, from late yesterday. Obviously, I reported yesterday. Something that came up yesterday that for who it relates to, and number one, the beauty and wisdom within. The owl keeps coming up, so wisdom is very important right now. And I came across the number 107 yesterday when I was jogging, which was important. And then also I was guided to bring up something else that I missed in my report yesterday about the divine masculines. The other scenario that is coming up, and this happened on my jog, had to do with someone I knew who went through this, where the young guy is trapped into a pregnancy to get married. Whether they get married or not wasn't the issue. It was just that someone got pregnant on purpose. But to bring that up, and also drawing that in from their own abuse, you know, father abuse, all sorts of things like that. So also from yesterday, a message about Mother Mary came through, literally having to do with a blue snow hat, and Mother Mary comes to me, let it be. Okay, so someone, and I was getting an invisible person, so it's like someone either saw a blue hat and no person, or someone wearing a blue hat maybe had a visit from Mother Mary, and she's confirming this right now. Mother Mary comes to me, let it be. And then also getting that the divine masculine saying about their divine feminines that they're defenseless to their sunshine. And the numbers 38, which is the Queen of Cups, was coming up again yesterday. And I watched The Amateur last night, about a very young boy who went pro. It was actually a really good movie, so you should watch that. It's about being worthy of getting paid for what you do. So that's perfect to come up, right? It was this little boy who, you know, everyone always tries to take advantage of athletes when they're young and they don't know what they're doing. But it was about that. It was a good story. But about getting paid your worth, because money is energy. And by the way, if you'd like to, if you like what I'm putting out and you want to support me, just buy a song from my album, which is, you know, they're only $1, so it's a very affordable way to support if you'd like to. No pressure, but just putting it out there. Last night was a huge thunderstorm. Huge. It was very loud, and I was seeing the lights just coming in my window, like kind of waking me up. It started at 8:38 last night, and 38 is the Queen of Cups. And I ended up being able to take a couple pictures of the lightning. It was really hard to capture. Every time I would click, you know, the light would pass. So I did get a picture that I posted, and I wanted to show that. It was on my other video I posted this morning. The tag picture was of a lightning flash. But literally, if you look at this picture, the tag, it's a big burst of light, and there's trees outlining the light, and it's at night, and the whole sky is lit up. It looks like daytime, but it's not. It's nighttime because it's a thunderstorm. But you see there's like, the bottom half of the picture is black. It's like literally divided, and there's nothing divided. There was no horizon there or anything. It literally it's like showing an eclipse of the dark and the light. It's really cool. So look at that picture. I have no idea why the lower half of the picture is dark and not like the light in the upper part of the picture. So if you have an explanation for it, let me know. But that was really cool. The lightning was really cool last night. Okay, so I think that's it for yesterday. So today is Lionsgate. It's August 8th, 2018, and you all know if you've been doing this for a few years that Lionsgate is always a big portal. It's a huge culmination of things, like going forth into the next cycle. It's all about the lion, you know. Here, I am woman, hear me roar. Okay? So it's about that feminine energy coming forth in her lion energy, you know, speaking her truth. So the day, well, the 8 is strength, of course. Inner and outer strength. It's the lion card. It's all about being proud of who you are, no matter what it is, and not caring what anyone else thinks. Just being happy with who you are and what you are and what you have to offer others, because nobody else is just like you. The day adds up to 27-9, which is the Ace of Wands. It's the 9 of compassion and selflessness and universal service. I always thought of 9 as the nursing number because it's about serving many people, whereas love is the family and community love. 9 is that universal love. So 27 is the 7 of the quiet inner strength, the spirituality, and with a 2 on the outside. So it's so interesting that this number is so feminine. It's very, you know, because that spirituality is so soft, and then you have the feminine on the outside, the 2, coming out to a 9, you know, which is the, you know, the nursing number. It's about universal compassion. So it's so very soft and selfless, but yet it's the Ace of Wands, where this creativity stems from, that quiet strength. This is new, creative, and passionate beginnings, the Ace of Wands, and the Strength card. Okay? So it's strong and passionate new beginnings. But something I wanted to bring up about the Strength card is don't allow strength, or what you deem as being strong, block you to being you. Like, you know, we're always told, you know, if we don't do this, or we do this, that we're strong people. Don't let other people determine your boundaries and your strength and what strength means, because a lot of that are false templates. So take a look at what you think in you is strong and why. And do you still really actually agree with that? Okay. Ding. It's 1:11. Thank you, phone. You're welcome. Okay, so today a lot of major arcana came up in the read. Wasn't much in my sand art, but again, it was still like the earth stood still energy. I did see, what did I see? I was seeing like some cute little lizards, like geckos, and some angels hanging around, maybe 3 angels, and a bird. But he was a little bird. It's like the children of nature, in a way. But it was still like the day the earth still, because it was coming down, but very slowly. It's kind of, I was just getting a reordering of things. So the messages coming through my codes this morning, I have the number 7, and the King of Swords and Queen of Cups came up. A lot of swords energy, so a lot of anxiety, overthinking, so get out of your head. But could be some reflection as well. The Lover's card came up, and the coding, I was getting information about what consciousness is, and Christ consciousness. Also, the Sixers came up. I don't know why. I was getting the Sixers age, the reaction or remastering of thoughts and words in order to ace their consciousness. But it had to do with a Sixers person. Also got that sex is a saber tiger. But when I went to write saber, I got sober. Another confirmation. It's like a sobering or wise reaction to thought in order to cool off the consciousness. Also, I was getting Osage again, 6 Osage Avenue. In regards to mastering thoughts for solace of consciousness. And I was getting acidity too, you know, that we need to cool off from. It's like releasing the acid, I guess. I was getting love is a transmuter regarding mastery of thoughts and words about consciousness. The number 6 is love, so either one, 6 and love, is a wise reminder to master your thoughts and words. Okay, so it's bringing up to that a lot of people, I guess, use sex as a release for frustrations and things like that. So it's saying it is a wise use of that. But to see it in a more expansive way, that it's about your consciousness, not just about frustration and release. It's about thoughtful use of your words. Not using a lot of words, but putting more thought into your feelings and expressing from your feelings. So I was getting detaching is like putting downloads on a shelf, never to be seen again, which are secrets. Secrets about lies, about pain, and about detachment. Or over-emotionalism. And that equals the children hiding, the twins hiding. And we're being urged to keep the chain going, as not to get backed up like an assembly line. So when you're getting your downloads, if you don't pass them on, you're going to get backed up. And that may have to do with some of the pain and stress that you feel, because you're not releasing. You're not passing on that energy. To keep the chain going. Dumping out what is no longer needed for emotional growth. The children are hiding emotions behind lock and key, which is why I put out my other video this morning. It was coming up as the right hand. The right hand, the masculine side of the child, is coming out to the world. I was seeing a very long wand with little growth, so it was something that, you know, you're holding on to for a very long time, but no growth from it. It's stifling your growth. There's a very long lineage of this. Then I was seeing the masculine energy with the sword overlying their right knee specifically and their left groin. And that brought up specific, and my son gave me permission to bring this up. He had an undescended testicle, so when he was an infant, they did hernias. You get a hernia from that. And he had hernia correction surgery when he was, you know, a little baby. He was like 2 years old. But I was literally seeing this being tied to the right knee issue. And so the masculine's childhood issues need to come out, and this is part of what the right knee issue, but it's also connected to the left groin. And that was specifically where my son had surgery. Okay, for its hernia surgery, but it's for an undescended testicle. So there's a ripple effect here. And I was seeing this exactly, right? So if it's the testicle's not coming down, it's like being held in. It's like carrying forward past lives of vows of chastity and celibacy and vengeance, actually. Like for a woman, no man will ever touch me again, right? So then you have, and I was talking about inverted nipples. That's a manifestation of this. No man will ever touch me again, right? It's a physical manifestation. No child will ever suck the life out of me again. Past life stuff. And what do we do when we pray? We cover our chest. And it was coming up like that breasts are the pillars of the heart. Justice to self is self-love. Taking risk to love self. Express your feelings, sticking it to those who tried. Those I was getting literally. The cards were so funny today. Sometimes they're just really, you know, blatant. It was like someone forcing their way in, you know, aggressive sex, that type of thing. like those people who are being aggressive, trying to stick it to others from their wounds, from past lives or this life, who tried to get in, that were blocked. And now women, having experienced this type of thing, sealing out aggressive masculine energy, to let go of your own only leads to your own unhappiness or lack of satisfaction. So in going into this automatic protection mode, you're blocking your own abundance and happiness, because you're not freeing yourself. Because you think by freeing yourself, and I wanted to bring this issue up too, when people expose things that they've held in for a long time, like a lifetime, it becomes more and more scary to expose that, because the longer you wait, the more important it was in your life to you, and reminder of the wounding that you went through. And then when you expose it, that people will make light of it, like it's not a big deal. And even if it's not to them, it was why you are the way you are today. So it's very daunting to think about people minimizing what you went through. So I just wanted to bring that up for people as well. It's not that the people who are experiencing these things still feeling the same things they were when they were young, but still don't want other people to minimize the experience, because it was still their experience. So allow people their own experiences. So something else that came up from this energy is not allowing aggressive masculine energy in your space as a feminine in order to cause further wounding. But then the opposite happens, right? What do you do when you're married? How do you patch things up? You use sex, right? Even if you're not talking to each other, and even if you haven't addressed the issues yet, there comes a point where one feels guilty they haven't given the other sex or something like that, and you use sex to patch things up in order to let go of other energies that get pushed down further and then causing deeper unhappiness. So loving self is risky business. Okay, and literally risky business came up. Tom Cruise taking a good long look in the mirror. Okay, and that's the download. Literally, loving yourself is risky business. Tom Cruise taking a good long look in the mirror. And I remember an interview with Tom Cruise after that, because it's funny, because in the movie he does take a good long look in the mirror, right? But he said in an interview, and this was many, many years ago, that he had a talk with his mother, you know, to get his shit together, basically, and saying that he had to take a good long look in the mirror, and that kind of changed his perspective on his life at that time. It's hard to let go of secrets held in for a long time, because, like I said, people will make light of your deep pain and sadness. And then confessional came up. So this came up in my read yesterday or the day before, I forget which day it was. So in a way, that was my video this morning, is my own confessional. But we're being called to confess, but not to draw attention to your imperfections or wrongdoings, but to free yourself. That passion and loss, and how to move on and love again in perfect contentment or a new life. And it was all about personal growth today. And it was getting like a stroke of bad luck in your DNA makeup shouldn't dictate your happiness. Judgment would affect my entire life. And then me being called to love and nurturing, because I would, since a very young child, I would understand what it would feel like to be hurt, and always would be very conscious of not hurting others if possible. So maybe if I couldn't maintain life, then maybe I could transfer that sustenance in other ways, like being kind and loving. So recently, for the Divine Feminine, your heart's being called to heal. Great healing. This is this huge download I was talking about. Releasing toxic energy. It's also about the Excalibur, the point, the most sensitive issues in your life. Releasing that toxic energy. Falling, letting go of stress and grief, and stealing back your power from those who took it. Abundance. Open your heart and coming together with others, holding back their passions. So centrally, it's all about the Ten of Swords energy, ending pain and betrayal of your own body, of your own self, of your lineage, about your sexuality, all the things that came through just because you were born that way, or because you brought it through from your parents and their parents, or past lives, or however you see this. Learning to be proud of who you are with all of your weaknesses and imperfections, which, from an ET perspective, is glorious. You get to be human for a day. You get to experience this weird, dense existence of feeling and having imperfect bodies and imperfect emotions, imperfect lives and behaviors. So we're being challenged by the masculine energy for the Divine Feminine, the King of Swords energy, with the sword across his groin. Okay, so now we have the masculine covering their sacral, their groin. No face, no name, no facade, seemingly cold in his truth, right? The King of Swords. And I'm being shown without a head, no face. It's all about tradition, traditional law, war, an eye for an eye, and justice by the sword. When really this man is the King of Pentacles, not sharing his abundance, defeated before the war even began due to rejection issues, putting it out there through intimidation instead of sharing affection and abundance, focusing on his past that's still burning. So now for the Divine Feminine, the truth, the isolation. I was getting the Hermit coming up, but the Hermit to the right and then the Hermit to the left. So there was a big Hermit and a little Hermit, both with the light. So it doesn't matter which direction you are, as long as you hold the light and share it. A huge shock or epiphany offered by higher self in order to break down the weak foundations and rebuild. So going from lack of love and satisfaction back to the Queen of Cups, which is where, I don't know if that represents all the Divine Feminines, but I know it's my soul number is the Queen of Cups, and I know two other twins who I was connecting with who are also the Queen of Cups, and the other one is the King of Cups soul number. So it's very interesting how that comes up. So it's very common energy amongst the twins. So it's coming back to who you were before this life wounding. It's like a reset. Going from lack of love and satisfaction to the Queen of Cups, the way you entered into this reality. The truth of the Empress, snake, this is not a positive Empress, who rejected the King of Swords, causing him to seek affection from the Queen of Cups, and then causing them to be seen as narcissistic, hierophant type person, sharing love and affection and consolation. And burning the past in order to have great love, while the karmic now becomes jealous regarding, and I was seeing specifically legs and butts, so there may be some divine masculines who actually like the divine feminine's legs and butts. So soon, exposure of dreams and healing of burdens, and looking back at the King of Wands energy, and this is for the divine feminine. And I was picking up Aquarian tendencies, so not an Aquarian person, but a King of Wands who has Aquarian tendencies. And Aquarian energy can be very harsh, like not sensitive at all. They can be very blatant in talking about other people's emotional or physical issues. Actually, one of the doctors I worked with a long time ago, when I first started, actually just came, I didn't mean anything by it, and I knew that, so I didn't make a big deal about it, but he just, right in my face, for no reason, asked me if I was one of those people who has a concave chest here, which I don't, but I have no idea to this day why he said that to me, which was very inappropriate, to say the least. But anyway, just, I'm just bringing up Aquarius tendencies, because that reminded me of that. And also workhorse mentality, you know, that the old way of thinking is, you know, if you work really hard, then you'll get what you want. We're breaking free of that. It's not about working hard, it's about working smart from your heart. So the Divine Feminine now is coming into her Queen of Cups. But the Queen of Cups, who was then out of control, letting go of that control and releasing ego by doing that. And religious factors was coming up again. So religious factors doesn't have to necessarily have to do with religion. It can be, but it just has to do with major upbringing differences, and that it says in the card that your love life is basically being affected by the way you were raised or your spirituality. But it can be about age difference or different culture. It doesn't really matter. And playfulness was also coming up. To be light and like a child. Around the Divine Feminine, we're getting hermit energy, impatient for new love, but that their family is blocking their light. So it's coming up that Divine Masculine energy, the Divine Masculines who are hermiting at this time, it's their family literally blocking out their light. So to clear passion blocks, speak about passion blocks at work for the Divine Feminine. Others will move forward and come into their own independence too. And then I was getting, instead of 1, 2 spoons full of sugar makes the medicine go down. 2 spoons. 2 spoons full of sugar makes the medicine go down. So feeling, then the third party situation comes up. Feeling guarded about being in a part of a third party situation. The guidance for the Divine Feminine coming up, that who may be in the same type of timeline or situation that I'm in. Music was coming up as very important right now. Your spiritual career and relationship change. And it can even be relationship change with yourself. All 3 of them were very important right now. Having patience and exposure of your wounds to become whole. The Lovers comes up as the solution to the problem, surrounded by jealousy, gawking, angels. Jesus and Gabriel both came up, and that reminds me, I think I said Gabrielle one time when I was talking about Gabriel, but I meant Gabriel. Jesus and Gabriel came up, and sunshine and exposure. And you notice in the cards that sunshine equals full exposure. And you know the sun is one of the best energies in the deck. So they're saying full exposure is happiness. Epiphanies strike the Lovers, the dark and the light of it. Messages of truth with heartbreak and separation and needing to take a leap of faith. That you will remain a prisoner if you resist, being a twin in disconnect. Downloads blocked for kids and for twins, emotions in hiding. So again, bringing up your childhood wounds and whatever you've been holding in and not expressing needs to come up. And it especially has to do with children and twins. Opening heart to the world as the Queen of Cups, shining your light of pain and betrayal, of the King of Swords, exposed passion, truth, and triumph of Lovers. So opening up about everything, including the pain and betrayal that you felt between you and your twin. You don't have to bring up other people's personal information, that's not important to do. But to just expose your truth so you're not holding it in. So that brings me to my last little part here, to the karmic partners of this third-party relationship, because as we all know, if you're a twin, you're all in a third-party relationship until you're with your twin. So I'm not speaking for those who think they are twins and are not, and or for those who are now in their unions. But to the karmic partners, no twins want to be third parties, let alone the booby prize. We are connected energetically to them every day. This awakening usually happens when we meet physically. It is not in our control. We are not using witchcraft to try to make someone fall in love with us. It is the biggest heartbreak of our lives. And then we are shunned by the person we feel love from every day through energetic hugs, telepathy, and psychic connections, clairvoyance, audience, clairsentience, cognizance, as well as taste and smell for some. So all twins have psychic abilities, but they're not all the same. Everyone has different combinations of those psychic abilities, and they're able to connect to their twin in those ways. Some feel their own twin have sex with their partner. Some do not. Some become aroused as their twin is aroused. So even if your twin is out, you know, just in a bar or something and seeing pretty women and becoming aroused, the twin can feel this. Or even just thoughts of your twin can send sexual energy to the other twin. You cannot do anything to change this. If your partner never leaves you, once he or she starts feeling this energy, there is no disconnect button. We are not trying to hurt you or anyone's children. God knows our own children have been through the ringer and been through enough. We are being in our truth, and as long as your partner denies the connection, it's because they are lying to themselves or not being who they really are. And mind you that in the connection, the masculines don't usually feel this connection like the feminines do in the first year or two, and there's no specific timelines. Everyone's contract is different. But it's mainly because the busier you are physically in the 3D life, the less meditative you are, and you feel these energies mostly when you're relaxing. So if you're not relaxed, you may not necessarily feel these energies, or they may not come in. But as soon as you're relaxed and more meditative, you feel these energies all the time. So I just kind of wanted to get that out there so it's clear that no one's trying to hurt anyone else, that none of the twins are doing this on purpose. It's not a normal crush situation where they've just fallen in love with someone. It is in a sense, but it's not in their control. So initially the divine masculines may not be aware of it. They are in a sense, because they know they always know the connection. They know it from the instant that we're activated, basically, when we meet. So they're always aware of the connection, but don't always know the energetic connection between them until they're supposed to. So, and a lot of them won't tell the truth about that because they don't want it to affect their current life or their current situation, which always has to do with family and security type situations. They don't want to give up that part of their life, the comfort, even if that means they have to lie about who they are for the rest of their life. So I'm going to pull you some oracle cards. I have the Ascension deck. Alright, there's the Ascension deck. And for the organic, true organic, divine masculine and divine feminine twin flames, what is the advice for today? Today is Lionsgate, August 8th, 2018. What is the advice? What is the advice? Whoop. And that flipped right over. This one really wanted to come out too. The sun is at the bottom of the deck, which is perfect. Okay, it's number 10, the wheel. And the affirmation for the sun is, I radiate golden light and take decisive action today, which I guess I did today. All right, the first card out again, we got this yesterday, Archangel Metatron's Retreat. It says, Archangel Metatron's Retreat is above the Temple of Luxor, Egypt. And again, it's number 28-1, which is the Two of Flames, or Two of Wands. So it's above the Temple of Luxor, Egypt, where he holds the ascension energy for the world. He maintains his energy by bringing forward spiritual discipline. He suggests you commit to a spiritual practice if you do not already have one. Luxor is the spiritual throat chakra of the earth. As it ascends, people will communicate higher wisdom and link telepathically with all life forms. You are asked to send love and wisdom to all sentient beings. This card invites you to visit Metatron's retreat in your sleep to accelerate your spiritual growth. And the affirmation is, I'm visiting Metatron's retreat in my sleep tonight. So it's all about the throat today. Which, you know, now all week I've been hearing other people, including myself, getting raspy, unclear throats because it's all about speaking your deep, 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 deep truth. All the little fine stuff, you know, as the diamond in the rough comes out and most of the stuff is cleared, now we have to get to the nitty gritty. So it's saying to go to Metatron's retreat in your sleep to accelerate your spiritual growth. The other card that came up was Lord Cthulhu, which is number 36. 36 is the Page of Cups. very innocent. No, it's not the Page of Cups. I'm sorry. It's the Ten of Wands. 36-9 is the Ten of Wands. It's the 9 of that selflessness and universal compassion, the 6 of the motherly love on the inside, and the joy of self-expression and expressing yourself just the way you want to on the outside, becoming that 9. So 3-6-9. You know, the 3D, 4D, 5D thing. It says, Lord Cthulhu is the world teacher. In his incarnations as Saint Francis, which, by the way, I was in Saint Francis of Assisi in Italy before it was destroyed, in a backroom mass with a brown-eyed, blue-eyed monk and 2 girls sitting cross-legged on the floor praying. Very profound. So he was in his incarnations of Saint Francis, Shah Jahan, who built the Taj Mahal, and Melchior, one of the wise men. Lord Cthulhu practiced harmlessness, love, and wisdom. These energies are encapsulated in this card, so you're encouraged to spread knowledge and spiritual truth to others with humility and inspiration. Be ready to learn, for Lord Cthulhu is drawing your attention to something very important. He is a member of the Brotherhood of the Golden Robe, those who take in and transmute the pain of the world. If you are sensitive to energies, ask him to wrap you in his light. And the affirmation is, I am open to learning and teaching. So it's just talking about receiving your downloads and passing them on to others. And practicing harmlessness, love, and wisdom. With humility and inspiration. And just remember too, without doing a thing, you just walking through this world are transmuting energy. That's why it's always affected you differently than everyone else. For me, it made me nauseous most of my life. I got nauseous really easily and never knowing why. And also just really low energy. I always had issues with low energy. Okay, so for the organic, divine feminine, divine masculine, organic, divine feminines and masculines, the twin flames. 2. The high priest or priestess came up on the bottom. Okay, so this was important. Oh, I just remembered something I saw in my meditation before I went to sleep last night. I saw a nun, which came up about the vows of celibacy and chastity, to release all of those vows, cut all of those cords and release those vows, those promises of celibacy and things like that. I literally in my, I'll show it to you. I literally saw in my my meditation last night a nun, and then I was seeing literally who I was in all of my incarnations, and I can't remember anything anyway, but it was just going through lines and lines of different kinds of people, showing me my past incarnations. But the first one was a nun. Okay, and the forgiveness is underneath the nun. Okay, so it's very pure and chaste. The 2 cards that came out, first were Father. So this has been coming up a lot this week. There's a big deal between the father. It can be both father and either child, but I'm getting more the father and son connection. And the father holding on to his left index finger, the pointer finger. The father is the one who points the finger at the child. So anyway, we have the father card, and then the biblical card as well. Okay, so in this card, this looks very much like the 8 of Pentacles card, where he's working in his workshop. He's building a stool, and he's working on the 4th leg, the 4th wand, which is beautiful. I'm getting, because he's using a tool, you know, to get into the wood. I forget what they're called, but it was just showing, you know, for this fourth wand, you really need to dig a little deeper. And it had to do with your father. Especially for a lot of those of you whose major issue was with their mother. And, you know, pay attention to the wounding with your father, because you think that you had mostly a great relationship with your father. Look more closely into those issues with the father. And then for those, of course, who have an issue with their father, that needs to be addressed right now. And there could be some biblical lineage about that, having to do with your religion or just your lineage from Bible times. Okay? And this goes back to Mary and Jesus. And, you know, and Jesus on the cross, you know, Father, have you deserted me, right? So, whether you know it or not, you have wounds of that, of being deserted, of being abandoned, rejected, all of those things. Humiliation, right? What are the other ones? Injustice. Anyway, you get the idea. So, Father and biblical. And then from the Journey of Love, and by the way, I wore this shirt because I was doing information about myself in my childhood, and I think of this shirt as very childlike, because I bought it in a children's store, or in a children's department anyway, and it's also orange, having to do with the sacral chakras, so it was perfect for that. So from the Journey of Love, for the organic Divine Feminine, the Organic Divine Masculine Twin Flames. Organic Divine Feminine, Organic Divine Masculine Twin Flames. What is the message? What is the message? Any advice? What is the message and advice for the Organic Divine Masculine, Divine Feminine Twin Flames? Okay. Okay, perfect. Actually, two want to come up. Cosmic Butterfly is the bottom. Oops, sorry. We got this yesterday, I think. So cosmic, that's the underlying energies, 36, which we just pulled. 36, I told you, is the Ten of Wands. And then the cards that came out, the first one that came out is Loving All That Is, number 22. And I thought of this too in my video that I just did this morning. When all that happened for me, I was actually 22, the Fool energy, not 21. So it was my new beginning. So maybe I'm supposed to say that to let you know that we're past the endings and going into new beginnings. Okay, so again, this was a beautiful card. This also came up this week. Loving All That Is, it's number 22. I was just discussing the position of connecting with your twin at night when you go to sleep, and also that position and stretching your back like that with your feet out into the side. Very good for your back stretch. So it's the Fool, 22. It's getting what you see. What you see is what you get. 22. It is the Fool. It's taking that leap of faith. It's being free with yourself, being exactly who you are, the two and the two. And it's very feminine energy. Being creative and loving and free. Loving all that is. The other card that came up is 23, Across the Waters. Okay? Across the emotional waters. So it can be physically or emotional. Number 23 is the King of Wands, and King of Wands came up as well today. So the 22 is the 4 energy of the building and the stability and the creating what you need in this life to survive. And the 23 is the excitement, the passion. Okay, so expanding that stability into excitement. So 23 is the 3 of joy on the inside, with the 2 of the feminine energy on the outside. Expressed as a 5. Freedom, excitement, change, expansion. And I'm going to read to you what they say. So I'm going to do Across the Waters first, and then Loving... Well, actually I'm going to do 22 first, because we did that one this week already. So Loving All That Is number 22. The Fool and the King of Wands. And so being that the Strength and the Ace of Wands came up today, that might be significant to people in your lives. So loving all that is, you wise awakening being. You can love all that is. You can love your tears and your sadness, for they are a testament to your open heart. You can love your numbness and fatigue, for they show that you have worked hard and are now in need of rest. You can love your energy and passion even when you are so far ahead of the pack. You have to wait a while for everyone else to catch up. Maybe a day, maybe a decade or so, because you choose not to curb your enthusiasm for anyone. You can love your anger because underneath its fire is a desire for respect. And you can love your peacefulness because within your heart you really don't care much for fighting sometimes. If there is something that is shaming you, worrying you, challenging you, it's okay to just love it. It will make sense when it needs to. Until then, just love it, and even when it hurts, for it is part of your own divine nature awakening. It may just be like a painful cramp happening because it's curled up for too long. This oracle brings you a sweet message. You are just asked to love. Everything else will take care of itself. And the poem reads, a state of being, allowing, receiving, becoming one with all that is. A state of being, present, allowing, receiving, becoming one with all that is. Oh, and interesting. As I go to Across the Waters, I'd written down some dates that I'd come across this card before, a long time ago. And one date has a little note next to it, and it says, Daddy. On November 7th, 2016, my dad had passed on November 6th, 2016. And so this card came up for me from my father on November 7th, 2016. Across the Waters. You are being called across the waters, as if crossing a bridge of light from one ocean to a far greater one. These waters are your emotional waters, holding your feelings, your attitudes, your expectations, and your fears and doubts, as well as your hopes and dreams. It can seem like such a lot to navigate. Sometimes our waters feel overcrowded, as if swarms of people were descending into the ocean on a sweltering hot day, hardly finding a space in the water to cool ourselves. And that's interesting because that came up in my coding this morning about AC, was that, sex being able to cool off your consciousness or love. We can feel as though there's just no room for faith, trust, peace, and love. There's just too much happening in that water. We yearn for the cool, calm mountain lake, serene, giving, echoing a gentle dispensation of grace. You're being called across the waters, out from an overcrowded sea into the cool spaciousness of an endless lake. So it's time to let go of some mental clutter, some attitudes, some thoughts. Ask for help and bathe yourself in the green and gold rays of healing color. Just imagine them cascading around you, down around you, and through you like a waterfall. It's a bit like you're moving to a new neighborhood in a cleaner and more spacious town. It might be a bit unfamiliar at first, but soon you'll enjoy the difference. And green is very much about physical healing, and the gold is very much about communicating. This oracle brings you a message. It is your time to think about something in a different light. Soon you will have a shift in perspective, and the feeling of overwhelm, stress, and just too much going on will be replaced with serene trust and peacefulness. Know that beneath even the most chaotic mind is a place of deep, quiet serenity within. Do whatever helps you dive deep to find it. Dance, take some rest, meditate, do yoga, write, paint, make love, make music. In that quiet serenity within, you'll be leaving unnecessary chaos behind and the stress, and you'll be presented with the gift of a new way forward. So you may be called to shift in some way, whether it's actually moving or just moving within yourself. Releasing something, letting go, seeing something for the first time that you haven't seen in a long, long time. The poem reads, inhaling the soft scent of promised taste, the nectar moist upon my lips, as I savor each sip across my tongue, dwelling in the moment's pleasure, warm and sweet, bathed in tingling thirst, I find myself wanting you, wanting more. Very beautiful. So you're being called to cross those emotional waters, even if it's uncomfortable. To release clutter. It's the physical healing and the throat chakra healing, the gold. Even though that's also, the throat chakra is blue. The gold light is a lot about communication, the gold ray. So it's uncomfortable because it's not familiar yet. It's just like moving. You know, once you get adjusted, you're fine. It's time to think about something in a different light, to shift your perspective, to shift, and to release, and to express creatively through dance, meditation, rest, yoga, write, paint, make love, and music. Okay? Okay, and that leaves us on number 24 page, the Queen of Wands, so we're going to stop at that. Thank you for being here and participating, and for just being here. I love you guys. Rise and be loved. Thank you.